In this training session, we'll discuss the instant check features found in General Ledger, Accounts Payable, and Payroll. Instant checks are a powerful tool with many advantages. Let's begin with Accounts Payable. An Accounts Payable instant check can be printed while entering an invoice. First, we'll select Invoices from the AP main menu. Now we'll insert a new trade invoice into the highlighted batch. By the way, instant checks can also be printed from the subcontract invoice screen. Now we'll enter all of our invoice information, including a line item. At this point, we will select Paid by Hand Check, indicating that this invoice has already been paid using a handwritten check. When the Paid by Hand Check option is selected, the screen allows us to enter the paid date, the check number, and the checking account from which the money to pay the invoice is drawn. Now the invoice can be saved and posted. However, the system can also be instructed to immediately print this check on our check stock in the printer. Just click on the Print Check button. The system will ask how many copies we wish to print. Here we can select 1, 2, or 3 copies, or print an alignment check. We'll select 1 copy, and the computer will prompt us to put check stock in the printer. Then the computer will print out the check. Once the check has been printed, the computer will prompt you to put plain paper back into the printer. Now the invoice can be proof-listed and posted when it is convenient. That's it. It is so simple. Printing an instant check in this manner ensures that a paid accounts payable invoice ends up in the invoice history file, and a GL transaction to the checking account shows up properly on the check register. Now let's discuss the Payroll instant check. Basically, this instant check is an extension of the Payroll hand check entry function. Let's go to Hand Checks from the Payroll menu. Now we'll insert a new handwritten check. For a discussion of this feature, listen to the training session on Payroll hand check entry. First, we enter all our check information, including the net pay and deductions on the left, and the timesheet detail on the right. At this point, we would normally save the entry and post it. However, we can also print an instant check by clicking on the Print Check button. The computer will once again ask for the number of copies, then prompt you to put check stock in the printer. Then the computer will print out the check. Once the check has been printed, the computer will prompt you to put plain paper back into the printer. Now the hand check can be proof-listed and posted when it's convenient. Printing an instant check in this manner ensures that all the payroll amounts end up being recorded correctly in the payroll history files. Also, a GL transaction to the checking account shows up properly on a check register. The last and most flexible type of instant check is printed from the General Ledger Batch Entry program. First, we'll select Transactions from the General Ledger main menu. To create an instant check, we click on the Instant Check button instead of the Insert button. This window pops into view. If this is a check to be made out to a customer, vendor, or employee whose record is already in the system, you can click on the Ellipsis button and select the person or company from the list. If the payee does not currently have a record in the system, you can just enter the name and address if you need to mail the check in the lines provided. Now type in the number of the blank check you're about to print on, the check date, the check amount, the fiscal period, and the checking account. Most of these fields would be filled in for you automatically. Since this is a GL transaction, the computer demands a balanced entry. One side of the entry will be a credit to the indicated cash account for the amount of the check. The offsetting debit or debits must now be entered by clicking on the Insert button. Here we find the normal transaction entry screen. For a discussion of the entries required in this window, listen to the training session on entering general ledger transactions. Once an offsetting amount equal to the check amount has been entered, you will be permitted to click on the Print Check Now button. The computer will ask for the number of copies, then prompt you to put check stock in the printer. Then the computer will print out the check. Once the check's been printed, the computer will prompt you to put plain paper back into the printer. Now the hand check can be proof-listed and posted when it's convenient. When this instant check is posted, the computer will place a GL transaction in the checking account that will show up properly on a check register listing. Checks entered in this manner will not affect the accounts payable or payroll history files, only the general ledger. If you must have AP or payroll history, do not use general ledger instant checks. Instead, use one of the other instant check methods we talked about a moment ago. This concludes this training session regarding instant checks.